when you're trying to make a roster for a world championship, for example, you compete with the player in your position. Tobin and I actually played the same position. So we would compete against each other to start to make the roster.
That, I guess, makes for a spicy love affair. It
sure does.
We're competing for the same spot.
Sure does.
We are so lucky on this episode because we have the one, the only Judge Christen. Always truthful, always willing to give a verdict, and here she is in the flesh. And we need her more than ever because the Euros have just kicked off and we have a lot of questions and we need a verdict on who Judge Christen thinks will be the champion.
I'm here to deliver that verdict.
Thank you. And I'm here to give you all the facts. Here we go. Host country, Switzerland.
Love that place.
The tournament will run July 2nd through the 27th, with the final being on the 27th in Basel.
Is it going to be warm?
Warm.
Noted.
16 teams, defending champions England. Ooh, we got an out of that one. There is a group of death in this competition. Would you like to know who's in it?
There's always a group of death.
And it just happens to be Group D. Easy to remember.
D for death.
Group Death has in it France, England, Wales, debutante Wales, and the Netherlands. Just to keep in mind, the last two champions, England and the Netherlands, were both coached by Serena Wegman.
Ooh, I did know that.
Who will be, obviously, coaching England. Maybe a fun fact or a not so fun fact for Norway. They lost 8-0 to England in the last Euros.
Ouch.
Ouch is right. Okay, Judge Christen, ask me a few questions.
Who is the best team in the tournament?
Many people will say Spain is the favorite to win, although recent form has raised some eyebrows. Did my eyebrows raise?
They did. Those enormous eyebrows rose.
Because Barca just lost in the finals to Arsenal, aka England, Barca, aka Spain, if you know what I'm saying. And also, the last World Championship was the Olympics, and Spain had a rather poor showing, and they were also favorites in that tournament. So Spain has not been able to deliver recently.
I have a new question.
Yes, ask away.
Who does Tobin think is the best team?
Ooh.
You can phone her.
Now I'm on the jury.
Yeah, you're on the
Tobin.
jury. Yeah.
I think that my voice has changed. Now I'm Tobin. I think that I'm not making the verdicts here. I'm just presenting the facts.
I am asking for a fact. Who does Tobin think is the best team?
I think Tobin thinks the best team is England, Spain, Germany, but I think that the dark horse and surprise of the whole tournament will be France.
And who does Tobin think will win?
Tobin thinks that Germany could win. Tobin loves Germany. Tobin always goes with Germany.
How far is Switzerland from Germany?
Ooh, Swiss German, we know. I don't know. Everything's so close. Just a plane ride away. Just a Ryanair, EasyJet. Quick little ticket.
All right.
Other questions, please.
Who is the most hyped player going into the tournament?
Bonmati.
Second most hyped player?
Most popular player, probably Alessia Russo. She had a fantastic season for the Arsenal.
I was going to say LJ.
I mean, LJ's coming off a little bit of an injury, but, you know, she's obviously a game-changing player. But I would say Alessia for England, Bonmati for Spain.
I like those. Thank you.
You like those names?
These are tidbits. This is helping me create my verdict.
Mm-hmm.
A couple more questions.
Yes.
What do you think is the most important factor in a team winning a championship at the international level?
having already done it.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
And who is the most popular coach?
Serena.
Oh, man. Do you think it's harder or easier to win back-to-back?
For England, harder.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. I think I have a verdict.
She has a verdict, folks.
It's tough because I really don't know what's going on in this tournament. But I think that makes me a fair judge.
Yes, Judge.
And thank you for presenting all of the facts. It seems like it is going to be a wonderful tournament, and I cannot wait to follow along and cheer for all of our friends. We still have many friends hanging on and playing in their mid-30s
Still have
in this
friends.
tournament.
Yes.
And I will be cheering for them. But nonetheless, I have to make a decision here. And it's not based on who I like. It's just based on what I think is to be true.
Yes, Judge. That's why you are so fair.
And I'm going to go with Germany. Go ahead. Do you have an opinion?
Yes, I would have thought you would have picked between Spain and England, and I would have thought you would pick Spain.
I think I would root for Spain, but as any good judge knows, you don't pick who you want to win.
I love it. So good, Judge. Wow. So you just picked who I said.
That was the most important question I asked.
Well, if we're both right, that would be pretty impressive because I think pretty much all the odds are on Spain and England. So here's to us.
Here's to us and our wacky predictions that have never been right on TRS.
Never right.
Tobin and I feel super blessed that we get to have conversations with such amazing people. And this week we have a very special guest that is slightly outside of our women's soccer orbit. And I think the conversation is going to be incredible. Tobin, will you intro our guest?
Parvati Shallow. She is champion of Survivor, the Black Widow, and now a new author.
And her new book, Nice Girls Don't Win, is out on July 8th.
Should we bring her in?
Let's bring her in.
Welcome, Parvati.
Yay! Welcome to the recap show.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Right.
I did?
Yeah.
Amazing. That's a great start for me, actually.
That's really significant.
Oh,
it's very
awesome.
meaningful for me as well. Thank you.
Well, I am very glad that Tobin got your name right because we do have a confession. We have never watched Survivor, ever, or pretty much any reality TV show. And you may happen to be our very first non-soccer related person to ever be on the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel honored or like I'm breaking your show. I am soccer adjacent. My friend Ethan Zahn from Survivor, he won Survivor Africa, is a soccer player and started grassroots soccer.
And he's our friend too.
And he's your friend
Dear
too.
friend of
So-
ours.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're connected through the web of life
We are.
and soccer.
And in looking at your story and looking at how you won and the things that you've done, I think it's really easy for us to draw parallels to our lives as athletes and your life as an athlete and champion. And I think the big thing that we started thinking about was the idea of competing and of being a woman, competing with your friends, against your friends. So in a soccer team, when you're trying to make a roster for a world championship, for example, you compete with the player in your position to get that spot on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are every single day, and I'm competing. Like Tobin and I actually played the same position. So we would compete against each other to start to make the roster. And then we would say we both made it, which we generally did. God bless. Then we would compete together to beat all the other teams. And when we were listening to your stories and how it kind of went for you strategically with Survivor, we saw that you also had to navigate the nuance of competing against people, getting them kicked off Survivor, and then winning their loyalty and respect in order to vote you to continue. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, that I guess makes for a spicy love affair. If
Sure
you
does.
are competing for the same spot.
Sure does.
Congrats on making that work. That's not an easy dynamic to like sustain. But I think when you do, it's probably the hottest one that exists.
I can sense all of the questions and curiosity bubbling off of you.
I'm like, who's interviewing who? Conversation. No, okay, yes. So to your point, Survivor is so tricky because of what you just said. It's such a fine line to go out, first of all, to get cast on the show. I wrote the story in my book about getting cast on Survivor, but first I was going out for Amazing Race. And they asked me to bring in a blonde friend at the time because they wanted a brunette and a blonde for
Of course they did, yes.
aesthetics. So I brought in 2 blonde friends with me, and then the casting director was like, choose which one. And I was like, no, that's your job. You're the casting director. And then she was like, well, do you want to win? And I was like, yes. And she's like, which one would you win with? And so I chose in front of my friend because that's how competitive I am. And then we stopped being very good friends after that.
Really?
But yeah,
Wow.
it's a hard thing to overcome, I think, when people see like you're willing to kind of ditch them to win. And I think in Survivor, it's really tricky because everyone's trying to win, but what happens is you're stripped away from everything that makes you like feel
Human.
safe.
Yeah.
You don't have a chair to sit in. You don't have like a bathroom door to close when you go to the bathroom. So you're relying on each other for safety, for survival, your basic needs, like you're getting water with each other. You're sleeping next to each other at night for warmth. But then you have to vote someone out. If you lose a challenge, you have to vote someone out. So you get really close to people and you get their trust and you create bonds. And then it's like, well, which one is a threat to me, or which one do I not trust 100%? And you sort of have to create this. Well, for me, I create this strategy in the back of my brain while I'm playing like the politician sort of to people's faces in the game. And then at the end, when you blindside them and vote them out, you hope that they respect your game rather than feeling emotionally betrayed. So
Oh my gosh.
They give you their
That's so
vote.
intense.
It's
really
pretty dark and Machiavellian.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a commune that was very cult-like, so I feel like I was kind of born and bred for this game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, was there like any kind of shift? Like, did you have to like turn anything like on, or with Survivor, did it like reveal anything new, or did you just step into it exactly how you were and you were like, oh my gosh, I'm strategically positioned based on my background to totally crush this?
I didn't have the conscious awareness of how my childhood had programmed me for success in that kind of environment until much later, until really I started writing my book and then I put the pieces together. But I was like naturally good at it. I didn't know what I was saying yes to when I stepped on the plane to go play Survivor. I'd never even really watched the show. I was casted in a different era where they were doing a lot of recruiting.
Yeah.
So I hadn't really even seen Survivor before I said yes to go play.
Wow. Okay, so the 2 blondes. What was it? Back to the 2 blondes. What was it? Like, what was the quality that you were just like, I that one?
Well, I was closer friends with that one, and I had backpacked through Europe with her. And she and we'd all moved to LA together, 4 girls from Georgia. And she had this job where she had a Thomas guide, which was like a spiral bound map before like we had phones that gave us directions. She was going through this map and like charting courses, and I suck at directions. So I was like, I need her. She's the one.
But
so that was why I chose her.
But then you got chosen for Survivor.
Yeah. So they cut us from Race. They took us to the network. We met everybody.
Blondes.
They cut all the blondes and me from Race. It didn't work out.
Okay, so listening to what this was actually like, I also just started to think, so if you asked us to talk about what was like competing in a world championship,
I was actually thinking it sounded quite similar.
I could feel it. She was like looking over at me and we were like relating to this, right? But like we are not actually out in the wild without a bathroom, but like it feels like that in some ways. It feels like you're competing for your life. But the interesting thing is in both cases, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have these memories from world championships where we'd wake up after a game and you'd have like the high and the low of the game. And everyone would get up the next day and you're kind of like dazed and confused and everyone's body's like aching. And they're like at the breakfast table and they're just like, why do we do this?
Yeah.
And that's what it was like bringing back to me when you were like, we literally like sleep next to each other to stay warm.
Yeah.
And then and Tobin and I always say like to make it a long time on the US women's national team, you have to be willing to eat your firstborn. And that is what energy you are giving me right now.
Willing to eat my firstborn.
I know.
I gobbled her up when I was 23 years old. Truly, it's exactly that. And there is some kind of like masochism, sadism kind of thing that's, you know, inherent. And I'm like, oh, I need to like suffer. It feels good in a way, especially if you're doing it with other people. There's like this shared camaraderie, misery that bonds you so closely to someone. It's like this trauma bond. But then it's like fun when you win. It's so exciting when you win. But then I was sitting next to like when I won, and maybe you relate to this because when I won Survivor season 16, Fans versus Favorites, I played side by side with Amanda Kimmel in that game from day one. We like darted off and hid in bushes and made our plans so people wouldn't see us. And we did everything together. She was good cop, I was bad cop. We had this whole scheme. And then we sat together at the finale and the jury members get up and they like attack you. They just tell you you're a bad person and you ruin their life and whatever. And like, what do you have to say for yourself? And I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. And she had these like big doe eyes and she was like, had this little like sad pouty face. And I just like owned my bad behavior. And in the end, they respected that I owned my bad behavior more than her kind of apologeticness. And so I ended up winning. But it like wrecked our friendship. Like it just did. We weren't friends after that. And that for me was really sad because you can't, it's like a moment in time and it's this bubble and it's this like capsule that you're in.
Yep.
And maybe you feel that in these games. Like, what is your like highlight game you remember? Like if you have those plays that you make with someone and you're like, oh my God, that was, the stars had to align. Like we did this, we called ourselves a Black Widow Brigade, and we had 4 women at the end and 1 guy. And I was like, fuck, I want to go to the end with 4 women. I don't want this guy. But he was winning all the challenges. And so Suri, who was a member of the Black Widow Brigade with me and the Alliance, she was like, you think we could get Eric to give up his immunity necklace? And I was like, oh my, no one would do that with any brains in their head, but I think we probably could. So we worked out this play and he ended up giving up his necklace. And that's like you kick a goal and it like goes in from, who knows, you have 1 second left in the game. That's what it felt like.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. I never really kicked a goal or scored. I told you I played soccer for 1 semester in high school and I was a halfback and you laughed at me.
We're very confused with this term halfback. Very confused.
Is that not a position?
If it was, neither of us played it.
Yeah, well I cheered mostly.
Okay, so it's interesting because you are talking about losing friendships along the way. Do you feel that even if you're not friends with some of these people, you have like a deep respect?
Yes. And I feel that about most of my relationships that I think I've ever had in life and the ones that fall away. Like, I think I was born in a commune. It was very sort of like hippie, Hindu, spiritual. That's why my name is Parvati. It's a Hindu name. I was named by the guru, which I tell that story in my book too. And then we moved away when I was 9, and it was like a complete severing of connections with that life and community. So I think I've gotten quite used to sort of allowing people to fall away from my life. Like I don't feel the need to like hold all of my attachments, and sort of there's different phases of life that I've been in where certain people are really close to me, and then I'll move into another phase of life and those people they like ebb and flow. But with Survivor, especially with Amanda and the people that I've played with that were so close with me, I have so much respect for them because Survivor's hard. It's so hard. It's such an experience that like not a lot of people get to have. And to do it more than once is kind of, you have to be a little crazy. So it's a very select group of people that choose to do that. And the ones that are successful at it or do really well in the game, I'm like, even if I don't agree with your opinions or your lifestyle or the choices that you make, I still have respect for them.
Yeah.
In that way.
That to me is like so US Women's National Team. Like we talk about this group of players, like if you've come and you've maybe participated in one world championship, it's kind of like, that's for a lot of people, that's like a huge dream, you know, huge success. But if you've been able to sustain a career on the national team for like 10 plus years, like you're certifiably insane.
Yeah.
Like there's
Shows you've been on Survivor 5
so
times.
like I really understand because
We got each other.
and we talk about like this idea of like we're like a family, right? Because of how much we like eat, breathe, sleep together. Sleep together.
Go on.
Yeah,
Let it pass.
yeah, just let it pass.
Wait, why did we zoom in on that moment? It's fine.
But like this idea of a family, but the family's so dysfunctional, right?
Yes.
Like you see the worst parts of each other like so quickly because when you're in these intense moments where you have to survive, when you have to do whatever it takes to not get cut, to make the roster, to start, like you see the absolute like worst in people. And there's like a certain level of like, yeah, there are genuine friendships on the team, but everybody always thought like we were like the 23 best friends. And I think it's because we're women, right? So we always have to kind of appear like we all get along or that we all like each other. But the reality is like in the locker room and stuff, like it's like there are friendships, but more so there are a lot of people that just disagree with one another, have different tastes, different styles, different views, and want to take each other's spot. Like want to kick people off the island or whatever they say.
Why don't we have a reality show?
Honestly,
about
it
this?
is a reality show. And like there is the sanctity of the locker room. So I think what everybody thinks is like this team that all likes each other and wins all the time. But like the truth is, like for all of us that have been in the locker room, like we know how difficult it is. But the truth also is that we might not like each other. But because we've done this hard thing together for so long, it's like the respect kind of just takes out the like whether we like each other or not. It doesn't even matter if we like each other or not because we needed each other to win.
Yeah. Does everyone feel the same way that you feel?
Everyone. It is so like talk about being like trauma based. Like we have internally so much trauma from our time on the US Women's National Team, but it's shared trauma to the point where it's turned into like respect. Because if you're able to endure that level for so long, it's almost like that's kind of the winning in a weird way. And it's really hard. And I'd like to know your opinion on this. How do you switch? So we come in and out of these world championships, in and out of these camps. You go in and out of these shows. When you come home, like, what are you?
It is so disorienting. And because I started when I was really young, I was 23 when I played Survivor. And it's the game, the rules of the game are like you are pulling people in to get them to be close to you, and then you're ruthlessly betraying them, lying to them, backstabbing them. So for me at that time in my life, and this is kind of the whole point of my book, is like I thought of myself as a good person and a good girl, and I was like really nice and cared about people, and I couldn't integrate when I came home, like who I thought I was with the behaviors that I'd demonstrated to do as well as I did in the game, especially the second time because I was pretty ruthless the second time, and that game I won. But I was like, man, my strategy worked. I won. But when I came back, I was like, I don't know who I am. I feel like I'm a bad person because I lied and betrayed, and all these people were telling me I was a bad person. So I internalized that and believed that. It took me a long time to move beyond that. And now that I'm 42, I've like really worked on integrating, like I'm a whole person. I have good aspects of me. I have bad aspects of me. I'm like selfish and greedy sometimes. I'm really generous and kind sometimes. Like I'm all of that, and that's okay. But I didn't get there until I was working on my book, going through a bunch of therapy, starting to like look at my programming. I'd gone through a divorce. I was actually in the middle of my divorce, and it was messy and hard. And I was like, oh my God, how did I get here? So it was like a big moment of sort of like laying all the jigsaw pieces on the floor and playing around with them and making them fit to the point where I could make a clear picture of myself for me rather than let other people tell me who I was.
Yeah. I mean, that's so complicated. And I have two questions that I'm dying to ask you. One, now that you are looking at yourself as a whole person, an integrated person with like nuance and complications, do you ever look back on some behaviors and regret them?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was like pretty selfish when I was younger. And I just was like so closed off to allowing myself to feel pain or sadness was really hard for me. So I was like, I just got to be strong. I just got to get through it. I would just like kind of, I would use people. My relationships were very transactional for a long time.
And this is on and off the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, on and off the show. And I think the show kind of made it more okay for me to be that way when I came back because I was like, I'm in Hollywood and entertainment. Everyone is like this. It was such a different era too where I wrote about this in the book. I was like really slut-shamed when I came back. So I was flirty and confidently sexual and played with my sexuality and flirtatiousness. And it was like very harshly criticized, like doing that. So I think I was like upset and I felt sad and I didn't really like myself. So I acted out. And
Yeah, because like what it's kind of bringing up for me is this idea of like embodiment, like who you are in your essential self that you're meant to be and how you have like an inner wisdom and you're being guided and how that can get so pulled out of you when you're on a show where there's cameras all around and everyone's looking at you from the outside. And when I think about my own career and I think about the things that I've done to be successful, I actually grapple. Like I'm not a person who looks back with regret because I'm a little bit too fatalist. And I'm like, what led me to here?
Yeah.
But like I look back and I'm like, would I recommend that to a friend? Because I suffered a lot to be successful. And in your case, it sounds like maybe you did behaviors that maybe you thought were not morally right or maybe not, or maybe other people thought that, but they helped you win. And so like grappling with that and like kind of coming to the other side of it and you look back, do you have that sense that it's like, I would do it again because I won and I got through it? Or are there things where you're like, I would rather not have won?
no, I needed to win.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, yeah, I freaking won.
Yeah.
Like it made it worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think Survivor, like I relate to you when you say you're fatalist and like it led me here. I really am so like that. I'm like, I'm a Virgo with a Scorpio moon. Like,
I was wondering all this. Scorpio moon.
stars, yeah, like death, sex, survival. I could not imagine my life without Survivor. And I think because I didn't go out looking for it, it really found me. I was like, some things are just kind of destined for us in our lifetimes, or it's just we have this blueprint from our childhood and kind of everything magnetizes from that, whatever belief system we create. I don't know how it works, but Survivor kept finding me over and over. I shouldn't have played again. The first time I played, I was like, whatever, I didn't strategize at all. But they called me to go back and I was like, yeah, this time I'm going to win. Like, I went to a psychic who told me I was going to win.
Oh my God.
I know. So I'm like,
It was your destiny.
I had to do it. I had to. I couldn't have not done it. But then I'm like, I've now created a whole career out of being a reality television contestant. And I'm one of the best ones on any game show.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I'm like, this isn't a thing. It's not like a job. But I guess now it is kind of a job.
Yeah.
And I'm pulling back from the role of contestant and getting into more creating, developing, producing. But when I went to college, I wanted to do psychology and broadcast journalism. And Survivor is both of those things. All these game shows are that. It's like you're on TV, you're broadcasting, I'm out there in the world, and I'm also using like what I know and what I'm curious about, which is human psychology. So I've kind of found a way to make my dysfunction work for me.
I mean, I love that. And okay, we cannot let it pass. we have to acknowledge. So when I was telling Tobin about you, I mean, obviously, I think the first thing people say is, she banded all the women together and kicked off all the men.
Yeah.
And Tobin was like,
yes,
this is going to be an awesome interview.
on the show.
Exactly. So that is just awesome. And thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And tell me what season it is, because we will go back
16.
and watch it. 16?
Oh my God. Wait, but you guys
Did you
are
say 16?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah.
Wait, good memory.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we're watching this. We're going home and watching
Okay.
this.
Your first reality show you've ever watched? Is
Yeah.
that-
Basically.
Other than,
What?
I was going to say the Great British Bake Off.
Yes.
That doesn't count. That does
That's
not
wholesome.
count.
That is wholesome television. You would not survive on the wholesome television show. The great.
But could you win the Great British Bake Off?
Yeah, that would be amazing. You won Survivor, but could you win the Great British Bake Off? That's
Put me
so
in the
good.
game.
Oh my God,
Put me in the
She'd
game.
figure it out. She'd
Yeah.
figure it out. She'd be.
I will sabotage everyone's cake.
They'd be like, my oven's not working. What happened?
I don't get it. What happened to your oven? So weird.
So ridiculous.
This is cute, though. That you
Wait.
guys are going to watch your first season of Survivor.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a rite of passage.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Wait, you were going to get into what Lindsay said.
So my sister and her wife are huge Survivor fans. So they were the first people I texted when you were coming on the show. And they were trying to explain you to me. And my sister's wife basically said something like, she pulled off the greatest bait and switch that I've ever seen in my life. And I still go to bed dreaming about it. I was like, what?
Oh my God. I'm turned on listening to you talk about my move.
So hopefully that's also in season 16.
Wow. It might be.
Did you think about like strategy? Like before we go into a game, there's like strategy of how you beat a team.
Okay.
Do you, like when you went into season 16, you obviously had the season before experience. Did you go in with like a game plan?
The psychic told me. So
Win.
obviously I was set up for success. I don't know if that's like the chicken or the egg, but if someone who has like spiritual powers, like you're going to win, do you like buy it?
Yes.
You're like, I'm
Yeah,
obviously.
you'll take any of that when you're
Yeah.
an athlete. Any like little like whatever you're like.
Omen.
Yeah, we're superstitious.
superstitious?
No, we're not. But like athletes in general, like the whole idea of
Yeah.
like winning and like having something like that points you in the direction of winning. It's like, yes,
I think
we'll
it's
take it.
important to believe any omen that's positive and disregard all the ones that say something bad's going to happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
I am.
So she told
with you.
you were going to win.
Yes.
Of course she was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she told me some other stuff, but I don't remember any of the other stuff. That was the only thing that sunk in.
Well
So
done.
then I was like, okay, what was my tragic flaw the last time? One was I didn't trust my gut. I trusted other people that I thought had more information than me, and that was a bad idea. And then I also cared about people too much my first game. So I was like, oh, I don't want to like vote out my friends. And it made me really upset. And so the second time I was like, I gotta win this. So I bought this book called The 48 Laws of Power. Have you guys read this book?
No.
It's really dark. I don't recommend it for your own mental health and like because it's very Machiavellian and it's very like destroy your enemy, crush your enemy completely. That's like one of the rules. Like you can't let anyone limp away. If you're gonna take someone out, they gotta die.
Yeah.
Like totally.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I
you
see
might
it. Yeah.
really like the book.
Yeah, she was.
Read this in
I was
person.
actually thinking about it.
It did not resonate with me, but I thought she's going to be into this.
Oh my God. Actually, pick it up. Let me know how you feel about it. Because there were some, like all the chapters have a heading of a tactic, and there's 48. And I just read it and I was like, okay, this is it.
Wow.
I gave myself full permission to just be really bad, ruthless, like bloodthirsty, just like destroy everyone and go for the jugular and
I
win.
love this. Was it fun?
It was so fun because I'd never done that before. And I think as women, we're like so told we have to be nice and pretty and attractive. And like, I always kind of valued myself based on how much other people liked me. And Survivor is a popularity contest. You need to be the most liked and the most respected at the end of the game. But you can also do that sometimes by chopping off someone's head. And if they respect your move, you might not be nice for having done it, might not have like made you look good, but in the end you could have respect for it and get the win.
Well, when you were saying like that you were bad and like bloodthirsty, what I heard was freedom.
Yeah.
Like a freedom to get to try something on, you know, or like unleash a part of you that maybe you like keep closed. Like that's why I asked if it was fun, because I was like, oh, like wouldn't it be kind of fun to just be like just for at least a bit of time, like the worst version of yourself?
Oh, you would totally, like, I feel like you're really resonating with this. You love this idea. But it's like, this is her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like she's playing a character. She's not an actor in this.
Do you feel like that?
Well, it's really interesting because yes, you're right. It is me. So I draw on my own resources, but I think the best actors also do that.
Yeah,
like
the ones that really get into character,
embody the character. So when I played season 16, I became the Black Widow because I created this Black Widow Brigade.
Did you love that name?
Well, at the time, I was like single and trying to date, and it wasn't helpful. I was like, oh, I'm already a widow at 25. No one will ever date me again. It was really hard.
I thought it was kind of badass, but now when you put it like that.
Yeah. But now I'm like, yeah, it is badass. And it's also, I'm doing a lot of drag shows now these days. It's kind of my new thing.
Amazing.
I haven't performed yet, but I'm considering.
Oh my gosh.
I should, right?
Yes.
I think I will maybe do my debut. I have one on my book launch day on July 8th.
That's so
fun.
cool.
Big
That's
drag show.
that's like freedom.
Yeah. So people are coming up to me at these shows and they're saying, you gave me permission to be unapologetic about myself, to be confident, to come out. I was like a lot of people's gay awakening. And men and women across the board tell me this. And I'm like, cool. So it's kind of like in that regard, I really love it. And I do think when I played Micronesia, I was a fuller version of myself, but also a 48 Laws of Power version of myself that I had never really met before. So that's one thing I really love about playing these games is I meet different parts of myself every time I play because I want to win.
Yeah.
And I will adjust to the rules of the game quickly. I'm like, okay, this game is about lying. This game is about, being brave, being covert, being, strong, having endurance, like whatever. And Survivor has a composite of kind of all of that. Mm-hmm. And so the game is just like, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. But you were inspiring people. That's like basically what you're saying in ways that you didn't know, where you were giving people permission to kind of act differently than they feel like they've been trained to act, that maybe isn't their authentic selves. So they're kind of playing a character. It's almost like we're actually probably more so playing a character in this world than we're actually our authentic selves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like maybe you were actually just playing a character before you got to Survivor, and then you actually got permission or you got the tools. It's almost like this format allowed you to experience your authentic self. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, like, we're human. Like, we're not like these people that have like that society kind of places these values on. Like, we are human. We have needs and wants that are completely probably contrary at times to what we've been taught or told, especially as women, how we have to act. So I think that's probably one of the coolest things, because a big part of why we did the show is because basically sports media for women didn't reflect like our actual culture. Mm-hmm. It was like kind of what the patriarch wanted to see in women's athletes. So we were like, when we were playing, we were like, well, this is so annoying. But instead of just being annoyed about it, we were like, why don't we just do it?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just kind of, instead of asking for permission, this show gave you the ability to have permission. And it sounds like every woman needs to read this book, The 48 Laws of Power, whatever it is.
Nice girls don't win.
Oh, I'm sorry. and this book. I'm sure there's a lot of references to that book in Nice Girls Don't Win.
Yeah.
But
this is the sequel to 48 Laws of Power. This is the sequel.
Yeah.
Because it's my story of embodying those laws.
Exactly.
And I think that's the way I wrote the book, was to share my embodied experience of transitioning from good girl from pleaser, from like performing to get people to like me for my own safety and validation, to then becoming my authentic self so I could make real choices for my life and then not get stuck in something that wasn't right for me, like a marriage that didn't work or a relationship that wasn't right, like, or a job.
Yeah.
I can walk away from something. I can say no. I can set boundaries. And it's because I've worked through it. I internalized that book. I played Survivor multiple times. And then I worked through the aftermath. Because like you're saying, like the media tells its own story. I've never been able to tell my own story until now. Producers have always told my story for me.
Wow. I love that. I love that for you.
And you have such an interesting story from your upbringing to the way that it almost is giving like Inception vibes, where you were like one way and then you found out you could be another way. And then you were like, but wait, everyone's saying that way is this other thing. And which one's me? And then you kept going in and out of it.
Yeah.
That I can only imagine that the process of writing your book had to be a little cathartic.
Oh my God.
And had to be like deeply meaningful. We really understand the idea of like sharing your own story and the power of that. And so much of what I'm hearing in your story was you taking back your power in different ways and getting the space to decide who you want to be. So can you tell us a little bit about what it has been like writing your first book and it's about to be out in people's hands?
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, it was really therapeutic. I have never forced myself to sit down for hours at a time and commit to something with that much focus and that much embodiment. So as I was writing some of these chapters, I was feeling a lot of emotion, especially around like my brother's death. And that came as a real shock during COVID. And then some of the stuff that happened in my marriage. And I was like, what do I put in? What do I not? Like, how do I tell this story in a way that is as helpful for the reader as possible and truthful to me? And also merciful, because everyone is human. Like you said, like we're all human and we all do what we do for human reasons. So I wanted to not have I wanted to clear away the judgment that, because I have like really judged myself for a long time. I've been judged. People, like you guys might relate to this because people project onto me whatever they want, like whatever makes them feel good about themselves. They say that's what I am. And so I feel like I'm used quite a bit in other people's stories as the bad guy or as sort of the perpetrator that's like victimized people. And I'm like, oh man, I just feel like pretty misunderstood a lot. But in writing this book, like I think it wasn't about trying to be understood by people. It was, I sort of let that go. It was like, oh no, I actually don't need people to understand me. I just need to know who I am. I need to tell my own story. And if people want to keep projecting onto me, that's fine, as long as I know who I am. And I didn't know who I was until I wrote this book. So I was like, oh my God, because I have been told who I am since I was born. I was told by the guru in the commune that I grew up in, told by teachers, told by producers, told by journalists, told by exes, like, this is who you are. And I would be like, oh, I guess you're right. Until I kind of figured it out. I was like, oh no, that's just who you think I am. And now I'm like, oh, now I really know who I am. And it's been the most empowering and liberating thing ever. If you want freedom, like sit down and do that exercise. But it is also just as masochistic as playing Survivor. Like it's true full-on torture to write a book about your life.
Yeah, I was going to say writing a book about your life has to be therapy, but like the hard kind of therapy, not like the enjoyable one. No. You're like, what one is that?
Yeah,
I only know the enjoyable ones.
Seen you. I've never seen you not like.
You're like, no.
You've always liked therapy.
I like therapy. You don't. That's what I'm trying to say.
Do you guys go together?
No.
No. You're like, go do your thing, babe.
Yes, we do.
Oh yeah, sometimes she tags along.
Yeah.
But she
they
has her
bring
own
me
therapist.
in just to validate some stories.
Well, yeah, just to make sure I'm not pathologically lying to my therapist.
Oh my God.
I'm like, come in. I don't know if I'm telling the truth anymore.
Hey, you maybe should play Survivor.
Maybe.
No.
Do it?
I
was actually... I was thinking that it would be I would pay some good money to watch you on Survivor.
I think I'm more of a Dancing with the Stars type.
Yeah. I see that for you.
If I had
to choose, I would go that way.
I think that's an excellent choice. Survivor's not for everyone. My daughter is turning 7, and she wants to play on Survivor.
She does.
But like, I
Do
think
you want her to?
no,
Yeah.
I don't. But I wouldn't stop her if like she really wanted this as like a real thing. But she plays she makes up endurance challenges for herself. Like at one point, in season 16, I held my arm over my head for 6.5 hours to win a challenge, and she will just do that. She'll just hold her arm up.
Do you have any repercussions from the games?
Like neurologically.
Like maybe like physically, but everything's kind of attached, right? Like, can you even lift your arm up?
That's as far as it goes.
No, seriously though, were like there any like physical?
Oh my God. The first time I played, my hair was falling out in clumps because I was so malnourished. Probably stress also. I was like, it's kind of, you can't pull it apart, you know?
Wow.
But yeah, I went to I've been through so much therapy.
Yeah.
And what works for me, because I can like make up a story that works for any therapist that sounds really intelligent and articulate.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like,
Stop looking at me. She's talking about herself.
I was looking to camera.
help. Wait, are we playing Survivor now? Are we in an alliance?
Is that what you always think when you're hanging out with people?
I have had to work so hard because when I came back from playing the game, I was like, in my head constantly, I was like, why are they talking to me? What do they want from me? Can I trust what they're saying? Like, it was crazy. I had this like hyper vigilant.
That's what I was saying about Inception. It's like you don't know if you're in the dream.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like the blurred line.
But I also still kind of always feel that way. I always feel like,
well, like, isn't life a game of Survivor?
Kind of.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why nice girls don't win, because you have to be fully and authentically yourself in order to compete at the winning level.
Do you think that's like what you feel like your purpose in all of this has been, is to kind of show a different way for women or for all folks? Like, do you have a greater purpose to this that you're feeling like, oh my gosh, it's not just about winning these games. Like, I'm inspiring people.
Yeah. Writing the book was, first of all, a reclamation of myself for me, and also a service project for the reader, like truly for my daughter, because I've learned that we just repeat the same patterns over and over again that we established in childhood until we become aware of what we're doing, and then we can make different choices. So if my parents and I had fuller conversations about where we'd come from and how difficult that was, perhaps I would have made different choices. We didn't have that kind of privilege or luxury. My parents were in full survival mode after we left the commune. When I was 9, they had 3 kids, young kids to like feed, and no money and no community. So they were sort of like refugees, essentially, from this very different lifestyle. And so we never revisited it. It was like, done, move on. I think that's a lot of people's strategy for life.
Yeah.
So if you don't look back to pull out the emotional themes of where you've come from, you're probably going to keep repeating them over and over again. So that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, was to give myself the emotional support that I would have liked when I was 13, when I was graduating high school, when I was graduating college, not knowing what to do with my life. Like, I could have really used like a guide.
Yeah.
Who could have said, it's okay to spin your wheels and not know what you're doing and who you are, and be a waitress for a while and get messy. I didn't really have emotional support like that. So I wrote the book as an emotional support companion for the reader for different phases of life.
So cool.
And for your daughter.
Marriage,
That's amazing.
divorce, like grieving a death of a loved one, like coming out, being in a queer relationship for the first time, like, going on these reality shows, putting yourself out into the unknown, after really hard stuff.
So what type of person do you think needs to read this book? Other than everyone?
Other than everyone?
Like, that would benefit the most, do you feel like?
Yeah, I think women especially.
Yeah.
And people who feel like they're living a life that's not truly their own. Or maybe they feel a little stuck.
So that
I
is
love it.
everyone,
That's huge.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then everyone.
Or a lot of people.
the entire population of Earth.
Yeah.
Mother Earth.
Okay, who do you think between Tobin and I would do better on Survivor?
It's hard to say because you both have different skills and qualities that would help you rise in the game. Who's the most kind of who's like scared of bugs?
I have to kill the spiders at home.
Oh,
You do.
okay. So how are you with being wet and tired?
I'm not afraid of bugs.
She doesn't like
I
heavy
love
lifting.
to swim, if that's what you mean. And I'm better being dirty than her.
Oh, okay. Go on. Tell me more.
She's
I have better
a
hygiene
clean
for
freak.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She like wants to change the sheets every other night, you know?
Oh, you can't do that on Survivor.
And
And she
also,
only sleeps on one side of the bed.
to be fair, I don't do
You
well.
know what I mean?
I
don't do well camping.
She hates camping.
I'd rather be in a hotel.
Who wants it more? Who's like,
I guess, see, that's the real question.
What's the motivation?
Is do we both want to win with the same intent? Because she will want it more. But if I want it more, then that's a different story.
how would you feel about like blindsiding, betraying? Like, could you take her out if you had to?
Yes.
I think you might win.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you would win.
Yeah.
I
You
think
got that.
But she wouldn't even know. I remember this one time, this was before Chris and I were dating. This is one time we were in camp and Kristen, like, you're constantly kind of like going between being a starter and like not, you know? And even in the middle of practice, you'll like switch teams. Like I'll be starting and then they'll be like, oh, Tobin and Kristen switch teams. And then she'll go on the starters and I'll be like on the subs team. And I remember this one time we switched teams mid-practice and I was like, and it was right before a world championship. And I was like, no. And she got the ball and, you know, she's super fast, like started like taking off. And I was just like, there is no way in hell. And I like go to 2 foot the out of her and I like literally take her out. And like any other player on the team would like come up in my face and be like, what the was that? Like all this stuff. And she was just like,
you have Michelle
and I was
Fitzgerald
like-
vibes.
And you know, that pissed me off more than
Yes,
if
of
somebody,
course it did.
if
You
somebody
wanted a
came up-
reaction.
I wanted a reaction, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
she didn't even act like I even did anything. She was just like, eh.
I'm going to rescind my judgment after that story. I've been given new information to make my assessment.
I would also still take her out, even if we were at the time dating. I would still do the same thing.
But you would also take her out.
It's not my style.
Oh, say the
Oh.
1v1 story. That's a good one.
What?
Wait, who pulled whose hair?
You pulled my hair. I'm
So I
pretty
guess I
sure.
would.
Yeah.
I just am like, not
Wait,
in-
what? Hair pulling?
Well, we were playing 1v1 in the off season, so this is just training for fun, electively by ourselves.
Okay.
And Tobin is a 1v1 specialist, they say, so like dribbling past the defender. And I never wanted to do what she's the best in the world at. One, I had to defend, which is not something I like to do. And two, is just like, I'm going to lose, right? So then I put the stipulation that we have to play against big goals, which might not mean something to you, but it does mean something to most of our listeners because I'm a very good finisher. So she was trying to dribble around me and I was just continuously just shooting in front of her, which means that she had to use her body to like
I
physically
was just like
block
blocking
the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as she flinched, I'd score. So it's just irritating her. And she's like, this is not the point of the drill. This is a dribbling drill. And I'm like, but I'm winning. Like, sorry. So then she starts fouling me, like pulling my jersey, slide tackling me. And
Oh, you played dirty.
yeah. And then I started seeing red, which I cannot relate to right now, which is why I was like, oh, I wouldn't take her out because like I'm not a physical player. Like I play by avoiding contact. But in that moment, she was playing dirty and she had longer hair then and I just pulled her down by her ponytail.
Okay, that's more context. I need both of you on Survivor. Now sitting with you both and hearing both those stories, you could be cutthroat at the end if you had to. And in the moment, I think both of you would be able to read the moment, read the play, and know what was required. So this is my final question. Who's better at finding Easter eggs?
What's that?
like finding things that are lost.
Actual Easter
Yeah.
eggs?
She's
I thought
really
you
good
meant
at
like
losing things.
No,
Does
I
that
thought
help?
she meant like Easter eggs in the comment section. That would be me.
I thought she meant like
clues and
more
innuendos.
skill. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, I
Finding
thought she
things
meant
around the
that.
house. That's Tobin.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you would win then.
I think Tobin's gonna win.
You know, I think Tobin's going to win too. This has just been such a wonderful conversation. I love being able to sit across from you and like just like feel your power. And I just was thinking like, it's so great because nice girls don't have great conversations. And like, what does it even mean to be a nice girl? And like, I feel like you sat down on this couch and we get to see who you are. So thank you for being on our show and thank you for not being nice.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime, my
We're
pleasure.
also not nice, so it's like three not nice women sitting on a couch.
But you are so nice. It's like you do what you need to do
Yeah.
to win games and, get the things that you want and need in life. You put yourselves first. You're competitive. I think that's good and important and powerful for women to do that in this world where we're told that that's like not okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you keep up the good work too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.